What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to All New Nerds. We do podcasts, live streams, all of that kind of stuff. Today, we are doing a spoiler-free and also a spoiler review in another video of The Suicide Squad by Jmaes Gunn.
It's different. It's different than the 2016 one.
I am joined always, of course, by Jonathan, and wherever he may be, Levi.
Me! Yes.
He's been revealed.
There we
It's
go.
like a fire truck going by. It's just great timing.
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah.
At least it wasn't a... No, I'm kidding.
Trombone truck.
Trombone truck.
Yeah. So we are talking about The Suicide Squad. I'm just going to start us off, Levi. What do you think? Spoiler free.
I think this movie is great. I think it might be the best DC film of recent memory.
DC or DC film, period.
It's like if you like Guardians of the Galaxy and you enjoy Jmaes Gunn, then you'll just love this. And I love Guardians of the Galaxy.
I surprisingly felt that this movie was very different than Guardians. And I thought it was going to kind of be very similar. And I was kind of surprised that it was not at all.
But it's got that DNA, it's got that Guardians DNA that assists it. But overall, I think this movie was great. What about you?
Yeah, I thought Jmaes Gunn absolutely killed it. I went in thinking it would be a good movie because that's what all the buzz was. I mean, people were saying best DC film in a while. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm expecting. And I came out with that same sentiment. I thought the humor was all there. I mean, every now and then it wasn't hilarious, but overall it was a very funny movie. It did everything that the original Suicide Squad failed to do. It didn't take itself too seriously, and it even has some recurring themes or even like plot points. And it just each character, the great character dynamics between them all. And I think it's similar to the first movie, but something you don't see in superhero movies a lot these days is there were real stakes to it. Like any character could have died. And you'll find that a lot of characters do die. A lot of characters that you
Spoilers,
think...
but... Yeah.
Especially the ones that you like.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like...
No one's safe.
They don't...
Careful, you're on a tightrope right now.
They don't pull any punches with this movie.
Jmaes Gunn said that, okay? Jmaes Gunn, the director, is like, everyone can die. So I haven't said who.
I don't know if everybody knows it, but anyways.
Specifically...
It's the Suicide Squad, Johnny. People die.
Exactly. Yeah, the kill yourself gang. But specifically, some of the cinematography in this movie, is just, again, like superhero movies, they've become very formulaic. I love them, but it's just you don't see a lot of artsy sort of stuff in.
I mean, it's not too much of a spoiler, but yeah, like the opening shot is a shot of a puddle, and it like reverses up into the sky, and I was like, okay, so it's gonna be one of these movies. Like it was just like this amazing camera work in the first 10 seconds, and I was like, oh, good. Nice.
Yeah,
over here.
The camera work, some of the graphics, and it's just like, especially the transitions, I can't get over them. They're just, it was so good. It was a great movie.
Transitions, which that was like a big, I was like, wow, those are so cool.
Right.
They're awesome, but
that's something that just can't exist in like an Avengers movie or something like that, like Suicide Squad gets the chance to just like be a very tone. And I mean, I could see that maybe in like a Guardians movie, something like that. But Suicide Squad gets the chance to just take a step back, be its own thing, and funny, great, lighthearted movie. Go give it a watch.
Well, I don't know if it's lighthearted, but it's definitely funny.
I don't know.
It doesn't take itself seriously.
This is a hard rated R though, and if you're like below the age of 16,
that was something
maybe.
That I didn't even realize going in. I was like, oh, when I saw it, I was like, oh wait, this movie's rated R. I thought it was PG-13 for some reason because the original was. And I was pleasantly surprised with the rated R. I think it wasn't too much, but when it was used, it was pretty funny. There's a lot of F-bombs, which
a lot of stuff.
Pretty funny. Some of these actors that I don't imagine saying it said it, and I was like, that's funny. That's funny. But overall, I going in, I was excited for the movie. I mean, I love Jmaes Gunn. Every project he's done, I've watched. And he's a fantastic director and a great visionary. But this film, I was like, yeah, I'm excited for it. The Suicide Squad is not like a story or a team I'm too particularly attached to, but I was again pleasantly surprised by it. So going in, my expectations weren't low, but they definitely were exceeded by the end of it. Like we said, the transitions were really cool. The cinematography was really cool. The color palette they had consistently through the movie. It was really cool. And dude, some of the scenes, the editing, I think the movie really shined in its editing. Like the editing was so cool.
I think it might just be a good movie.
Yeah, no, it is a good movie.
Know?
It's a great movie.
Like you,
and yeah, I would agree. It's definitely the best DC EU movie. I'm not sure about DC overall, but definitely the best DC EU movie.
Yeah, and it's hard to. I mean, it could possibly just be in comparison to the last one. Like that's why I like it so much. Because the first one, no one really likes that movie. But
yeah, earlier you brought it up, and I was like, the first one failed to even really be a movie. So I'm glad like this one surpassed that. Famously, the first one was cut by a trailer company. None of it makes sense. Like it's all bad. Like I only really processed recently when I was thinking about getting ready for this movie that Amanda Waller puts together the team to rescue herself. Doesn't make any sense. Just totally broken script. It's just like, oh god, it's so bad.
One thing I wanted to say, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but the Suicide Squad, the older one, they take like 45 minutes or so for them to get on the helicopter.
Yes, yeah.
And this movie,
multiple helicopters,
much more effectively.
Right.
Yeah, very fast.
Well, I'll say, but
right. It is possible that it uses the original idea sort of as a crutch because you kind of already know, like it doesn't really need to set up all these characters with like exposition and all this like crazy stories. I mean, you have a couple characters, but it definitely does it 100 times more effectively than the original.
And
movie.
I think if you didn't see the original or weren't familiar with the concept, that the opening sequence would like initiate any viewer who was unfamiliar with the concept pretty quickly.
Right.
Because I think they give enough exposition to be like, okay, this is how the movie's gonna work, and there we go. And in that first act, they do an interesting thing. There's some really fun. They play with time a little bit, and you do some flashbacks, and it's really fun. Overall, just the opening, I really enjoyed the first act.
Like overwhelming. I feel like they had a good balance in the edit between like the flashbacks and stuff at first.
Yeah, so it's really hard to talk about this movie.
Editing. If you remember the editing in the old one, atrocious with the.
Well, like I said, it was cut by a cut by a trailer company, famously.
Right.
I know. Yeah, not great.
Very bad. Very bad. Not good.
So I mean, it makes sense. But,
Warner Brothers famously saw the trailer, went, "Hey, people like that. Hey, you guys make the movie," and didn't go well.
Yeah, they didn't know what they were doing.
But no, I think on an offshoot note, I think this film is like a clear message to just let the directors do what they want, because James Gunn had really full control over the film. I think maybe I'm gonna guess there was like stuff that isn't public knowledge that maybe was behind the scenes, like a couple things here or there, like maybe he wanted a different character on the squad or something like that. But overall, like it definitely seemed like his vision.
Well, I think Deadshot, right? I think Bloodsport was supposed to be Deadshot.
I think it was, that would make sense. But
Will Smith wouldn't come back.
Man, like that makes so much sense. And again, I'm trying to think of another movie that was kind of like that. I feel like Aquaman was pretty much like that for the most part, and Shazam as well. Which are like, to me, those are
the other two good DC movies.
Pretty good
as far as
movies.
DC goes, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a step in the right foot forward, because we know how not great that Warner Brothers was behind the scenes towards the DCEU movies going in the past. But and those are clear dumpster fires.
Well, speaking of which, like this movie is so good, it made me want to see David Ayer's cut of the Suicide Squad, because we talking about like we just got the Snyder cut, and that was Justice League was a movie that WB butchered, and the Suicide Squad was equally as butchered by WB. As I just mentioned, like that movie is two movies blended together. It doesn't even make sense. Like scenes just happen out of order, and it's very confusing, and it's horrific. It's like one of the worst movies ever made, in terms of like as a piece of cinema. Like it just doesn't make any sense. Like there were two movies shot there, and I want to see his version of what this squad could have been, because he clearly had a vision there that was just butchered, and I'm like, I have enough interest now after this movie to want to revisit that one in its intended form.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I agree. I agree with definitely like seeing a director's true vision. I don't really like David Ayer as a director, but I will agree that I feel like he should get his due diligence to get his vision all put together, because it's just like just make it, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and maybe it happens. Like again, there's off and on rumors that it's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
sadly.
I don't think so. Especially the fact that they're moving forward with the Suicide Squad as its own thing. I just don't see them creating a rivalry within their own company almost, or like creating some rift like that.
Yeah, because the Snyder Cut already had like effects on the
well, but now even on top of it, WB's being sold, so it's all very confusing with what's going to happen in terms of the business politics of if these movies get released. But speaking of the first one again, was it referenced at all in this movie?
I don't even know if it's in the same continuity. I can't like.
The only reference I can say is I started to watch Birds of Prey last night as well, and that's the first time I've seen it.
Did you watch it all the way through?
It's like a continuation of Harley's storyline. So obviously it's set up in Suicide Squad, and there's flashbacks in Birds of Prey from Suicide Squad. So obviously, Harley becoming Harley Quinn.
And that part, loosely.
Prey, she breaks up with the Joker and like realizes she needs to be her own person, and that's kind of the arc of the movie, I guess. And then this movie kind of continues that.
Yeah, so her tattoo has changed as well. I mean, it's loosely.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it is the same continuity.
I think it is. Right. I think it is very subtly, but and also the same cast members.
So. I think you can reach for it if you want, but it's not needed at all to see this movie. Like this is very much its own thing.
Yes. Yeah. This honestly is a standalone DC movie, like 100%. So,
and a good one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else we can say without spoilers, but
exactly. This is a very spoilery movie.
The cast was
stand out.
Great.
Excellent.
James Gunn put together such a good crew of people.
Right. They all worked great together. And what they were kind of able to do with these, I mean, I'm a very casual DC fan, especially, never mind just superheroes in general. So what they were able to do with these characters that I didn't even know, like going in.
Yeah. And like, even did I.
I didn't know, like Polka-dot Man, like what?
I know Polka-dot Man. So
like, and and so just like what they were able to do with them and flesh them out with like, I don't know, just this huge cast. Like that's a lot of characters that you got to focus on.
Yeah.
Great.
Same thing.
There.
It's the same thing he did with Guardians. Guardians were obscure characters who no one's ever heard of before, and now they're fan favorites. So, I mean, as you said, there's not a lot much more we can talk about without spoiling it. Overall, I think we just love this movie. So let's give it a final rating, and we'll hop over to a spoiler review.
Dylan,
you want me to start? 8.5 out of 10.
Johnny? No, Jinx. You go first. You go first.
With a standoff.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with
9 out of 10.
Yeah, 9. Yeah.
9. All right.
Yeah, I think 9.
Fair.
Rookie score, but 9 out of 10. That's what I. Really
I was about to say 8.99, but as a joke.
Okay. So 9.
All right. Yeah.
But,
I think.
Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to say.
Well, this has been the spoiler-free review. Obviously, you can go watch the movie on HBO Max, and it's also in theaters. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, go see it, and then go check out our spoiler review, where we're going to go a lot more in depth in specific scenes, characters, all that kind of stuff. But let us know what you thought about the video. Make sure to give it a like, comment, and subscribe if you want. And any parting words?
Dad, keep going.
Any parting words?
The parting words. This movie is nuts. It's fun. Yeah. Go see it. Go support it. As of recording it right now, it's coming under box office expectations, and unfortunately, the virus is coming back, and it's unfortunate. But go support this movie if you can. Yeah. If you feel comfortable with that. We need more movies like this. We need to show WB that we want more movies like this.
Exactly. And so one other thing I did remember, James Gunn does have another DC project in the works, which is very exciting. So we don't know what it is yet, but he is working on something, another project for DC. It's not Suicide Squad 2.
Well, isn't he attached to the show?
The Peacemaker show.
The Peacemaker show.
Yeah, that's happening too. So
that's he's working on. That's done already.
Movie.
Oh, exciting!
Yeah, oh, very exciting. But we're gonna close that out. See you in the spoiler review if you guys care to check that out. We're breaking down much more in depth. But thank you, everybody. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.